So if we focus on how connections are formed, we can build a future where AI enhances and improves human relationships instead of making us feel less connected. So tech has given us so many ways of being able to connect. I mean, we're even talking about having AI companions now. And I know that probably freaks a lot of us out, but who remembers having like the Tamagotchi as a companion, right? Like that was years ago. We're all okay. We're here in this room. We're doing okay. We're still managing to connect. But we're starting to feel more disconnected than ever. Why is that? It's because we're not focusing on how humans meaningfully connect. This is a real problem. Why is this important? Why should we feel connected? Well, loneliness is a huge thing. We now have 50% of human beings that say that they feel lonely at some point in life. And it's actually a crazy thing because loneliness is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It actually significantly increases your risk of premature death. That's how bad loneliness is. So we don't want that. So how are connections formed? Saying the notes. And how can tech not hinder but help connections? So how do we form connections? That's the first point that I want to talk about. And I'm actually going to talk about some of the first connections that I managed to make as a kid. So when I was a kid, I was completely obsessed with handball. Does everyone know what handball is? Yeah. So some of my earliest memories, all I cared about was handball and being able to fuel my competitive spirit of winning at handball. And I'd moved to a new neighborhood. I didn't know any of the kids. I would ride my bike up and down the street and I would try to find victims that would be able to play handball with me and that I could thrash them with. But in this whole experience of playing handball, I realized that we were completely present and I'd formed incredible friendships. There were deep connections that happened because we were all in the zone of just focused on playing handball. This is the first pillar of human connection. It's being present. Now fast forward to high school. My parents wanted to put me in a really fancy new high school. Education was very important to them. And of course, I'm grateful for them for doing that. But at the time, I was absolutely terrified because I'd grown up in a not so fancy environment. It was very blue collar type neighborhood. And when they put me in this school, I suddenly felt like, oh my gosh, I don't belong. I was stuck in front of a whole bunch of strangers, teenagers, that I didn't know who anybody was. And I had to figure out fast, who's going to be my friends? It's so important because I knew if I didn't make friends, I'd be that loser at school that had nobody to hang out with, right? We all know that feeling. But what did I do? I approached some people and I started asking them questions. I would ask them, who's your favorite Spice Girl? I'd ask them, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? I was trying to get to know people and form connections. And that's the second pillar of human connection. It's being curious, getting to know people genuinely and in meaningful ways. Now we're going to fast forward just a couple of years to last week. My husband, who's here, the two of us went to see Radiohead. Does everyone know Radiohead, the band? So it's their first time touring in 7 years. It's a bucket list item. We're huge, mega Radiohead fans. Now, anybody that knows Radiohead knows they've got at least 50 greatest hits. And we knew that the night of the concert, they would only play 25 songs. So it gets to the last song, They played one of my favorites. There was still a crowd favorite that they hadn't played. The whole crowd was just waiting with anticipation. Will they play this song? The lead singer walks up to the piano and plays the opening sequence. And immediately the crowd erupts. It is off the charts. The energy in the room was incredible. This is the third pillar of human connection. It's sharing a collective high. We shared something meaningful. We had this anticipation. Will it be the worst night of our lives because the song is not played? But then we overcame that together. And it was an incredible feeling. So, the three pillars of human connection: presence, curiosity, and sharing a level of optimism, shared experience with each other. So that's how connection is formed. How has tech helped connection over the years? So we started with cave paintings. We were sharing stories beyond generations. We moved to letters and the art of penmanship, where you could share exotic tales from across the borders. We moved to newspapers, where cities and countries could share stories and ideas. And it's not just, okay, yes, you could read the newspaper in your room by yourself. You would talk to people, you would connect with them and say, hey, did you read the newspaper on Sunday? Radio brought families together. We had families that would gather over Christmas time in front of the log fire and listen to the King's speech, and they would be sharing these connections with each other. TV brought the human race collectively at its feet when man walked on the moon. It was like we all held a breath collectively. The internet brought billions of people into one room. The problem is not technology. It's not paying attention to the pillars of human connection. We're more distracted than ever. That's because we're not paying attention to presence. We're more performative. Well, that's resulting in shallow relationships being built. Algorithms are pushing division. We need to share optimism instead. So this is why we're feeling more disconnected than ever. If we ignore these pillars, even the best technology will make us feel more lonely. We need to lean into these pillars. Tech can hands down help us feel more connected than ever. So I want to leave with a story of how tech can lean in. So recently I heard 50 Cent, there's a famous song called What Up Gangsta. And AI is now coming out creating new covers of these famous songs, but regenerating them in different ways. So the What Up Gangsta song became viral in a 50s soul song, completely different. It actually is so popular that Joe Rogan now talks about this song with every guest that he has on his show. Have you heard the song? What do you think? It's crazy, it's amazing. Now, this song, the reason why I think it's going to be a valuable way for us to form connections on this technology, it's giving us presence. When you listen to these songs, you don't do anything else, I promise you. If you go to YouTube, you listen to one of these songs, you're listening to this song. You're thinking, oh my gosh, this is something crazy. Never heard this before. There's presence. You're curious. You're asking questions. How do they do this? What else is out there? What other songs can I listen to? What else is going to be created? And there is a shared optimism about this. So they actually asked 50 Cent, what do you think about this? And I know the pessimists in the room would think, oh my gosh, artists are going to be screwed over by this. It's not the case. 50 Cent said, these covers are cool. This could help reach someone that I couldn't. So it's really powerful. And that's what I want everybody to take away here, is that we need to remember the three pillars of human connection, and we're going to be okay. Thank you.